There was an interview done recently by Doug Armstrong, the GM and the architect of the Olympic team, that is making some people wonder and maybe some concerned about the standing of some Maple Leafs on the Olympic team, because Doug Armstrong effectively said, I'm paraphrasing, we're looking for big game players. We're looking for guys that perform well in the playoffs. And the Leafs, their reputation is what it is. And as a result, I think people are connecting the dots. Mitch Marner versus other players that have a better track record.
Is that a Twitter war
in the
today?
Playoffs.
That started an absolute barn fire.
Right. And listen, in terms of his playoff history, it is what it is. I can't sit here and argue for Mitch Marner as a big game playoff performer because he has not been throughout his career. The stats are what they are. The eye test is what it is. Not good enough. But I do wonder where you draw the line on that if you're in the front office, because for me, Mitch Marner's on Team Canada. I think he deserves to be. I think he's one of the 12 best forwards, clearly. I think he's a smart enough player to keep up with these guys, and I think it would be silly not to have him on there. But if this is the reasoning, okay, I can't argue against that reasoning, but tell me, again, where you draw the line. Not the same player, different categories. How much big game success does Connor McDavid have? How much does Nathan McKinnon have? Point being is they're so good, of course they're on the team. So where do you draw the line on – you're telling me Mitch Marner is like the guy where it's like, playoff success. It's like, okay, he's a really good player. He's a great player. I think he'd help the team.
Yeah,
and
you're
right. What does that mean then for John Tavares or Morgan Riley? What does it mean for them? They're also Leafs. Does that mean they're not going to make Canada because of the Leafs' history of choking in the playoffs? It's silly to me.
I would say we have to leave. McKinnon has had success in the playoffs. He's dragged his team through rounds. He hasn't won a cup.
Yes.
But like multiple years and been the best player in the planet when McDavid was sitting at home. Like that, we've had that argument on the show. Like I'm
not saying they're the same player, Noodles. I know. My point is obviously McDavid's on, obviously McKinnon. I find it curious that you would stop and say, okay, well, because Mitch is he's a great player. Like Mitch Marner is a great player. Is he top 5 in the world? No. For me, he's top 20, top 25. So that's where playoff success. I find that hard to believe.
Well, I think it might come down to, what if it's a coin toss between a centerman that has to play wing and a guy who's won cups and been there? What if it's Steven Stamkos? And they're like, you know what? We want to put Steven Stamkos on this team, but he's not playing up the middle. We're going to put him on the right side, and we think he's going to be a trigger man on the power play. Well, where does Mitch Marner fit in that? Like, I think Mitch Marner's on the team. If I was doing a team today, Mitch Marner's on it. The one thing I was hoping from the outside is that Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, all of these Leaf players go to the Olympics, and it helps with their psyche of big game play. Because let's say the Americans win. That means Austin Matthews gets a gold.
Played a primary role in that,
Primary role. Same thing. If Mitch Marner makes a team and goes and wins the gold, he experiences at the top level some of the highest pressure and gets to perform in that. Like, it's a learning curve for them too. I think it's a fine line, but if you have 20 things you're looking at a player and all of the boxes are checked off and playoff success might be one of them, the difference between player A and player B,
and that's where he could lose.
Factored in.
And I can't argue against that, Noodles.
Right.
I can't, and maybe that is the separation where there are no-brainers that are going because of who they are and how they play and how great they are.
Right.
And Marner is not in the same level as McDavid, McKinnon, Sid. There's 6 or 7 guys who are absolute locks. He's a layer below that. But for him to miss out, if that ended up happening, and I'm not sure if they would explain it publicly this way, that would be the only way I could see him missing out on this.
Right.
Even if they didn't announce it that way. If Mitch Marner isn't on the team, it's because of his playoff performance.
And
if that's the case, I hope it motivates the hell out of the guy, because that would be a tough pill to swallow, man. Like, that's a tough one to chew on, because I think his play and his what he's capable of doing on the ice puts him on Team Canada. You can't tell me there's 4 better right wingers.
There's not
in this country.
It's a simple fact. There's not.
No.
Well, clear right wingers, but the problem is if, God forbid, they go Braden Point's got to play the right wing. You know what I mean? Like who's our centerman? I guess technically I'm saying our Team Canada, right?
Yeah.
McDavid, McKinnon, Point and Bergeron, Couturier, who's now you start.
And let's say, okay, that's fine. Points on the first, whatever. We don't need to break down everyone in the country. But like some people are saying, Tom Wilson would be on over Mitch Marner because Tom Wilson's won a cup and has performed in the playoffs.
That's not.
That's
I don't think
absurd.
That's the case at all. I think it's if you're going just on the best players available. But I think if they're building a team of what they want in certain things, there's certain roles that'll be filled in certain scenarios. That's the only thing. I think Mitch Marner should be on the team. But that being said, like I said before, if it's between player A and player B, and player A has a little bit more experience and success at critical times, I think it has to be factored in.
Oh, I think it will be. Yeah, I think it would be convenient to say that it's between those two guys as opposed to other players on the team, I guess is my argument. We say, well, Sean Couturier. Well, last time I checked, Philly hasn't really been in the playoffs in a long time. Or, whoever it's going to be. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.